All-State Sugar Bowl. Big 12 meets SEC. And the Big 12 just about set to take the field. A team that was unranked to start the season, but now plays in the final New Year's Six bowl game. Here come the Cowboys. The greatest years in Ole Miss history have always culminated with a Sugar Bowl. They're back. Here come the Rebels. Gives you chills, doesn't it? Nothing like college football. It is the All-State Sugar Bowl. Ole Miss in this game for the first time since 1970, when a sophomore quarterback named Archie Manning got them here. Now they've got a quarterback and a redshirt junior transfer, Chad Kelly, who has done a similar job.
Much like that '69 team, they wouldn't have been there without Archie's 14 rushing touchdowns and playmaking ability. These Rebels wouldn't be here without Chad Kelly. Two things are going to stand out to you tonight as you watch him perform. Number one, he's got one of the 5 best arms in college football. He throws it from anywhere and everywhere and chucks it as far as anybody to a very deep receiving crew. And number two, a story we will tell, I think, throughout this game is how much Hugh Freeze had to get to know him, had to really learn him, his style, and play to his strengths. And the more they've grown together, the more success both of them have had on the field.
Well, their head coach, Hugh Freeze, is standing by with Shannon.
Thanks so much, Bob. Coach, one of your goals since being hired at Ole Miss was to lead this program to a Sugar Bowl. As you stood in that tunnel with your players and you were about to lead them out onto the field, what went through your mind?
Just how blessed I am, really, to represent our university, our wonderful fans, and really do it with these young men. You know, we've had times where it's been disappointing, but man, we've had some excellent fun times in 4 years, and to be playing in what is, when I grew up, the pinnacle for the SEC and the Sugar Bowl, it's just a dream come true.
1 year ago, the New Year's Six Bowl, the loss to a Big 12 team. What was it about that experience that most helped you prepare for tonight?
Well, you certainly, you go back and you evaluate everything you did when you don't have success, and certainly we didn't that day. I think I learned from it as a coach. I think our young men learned from it. We were very careful to try different things that we thought were good. And, you know, you just don't want to experience another day like that. And we've reminded them that quite frequently.
Thanks, Coach. Have fun tonight.
Thanks, Shannon.
And, Bob, that was in the locker room when Coach Freeze addressed his players just moments ago. He talked about time. He said there's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh. This is your time. Don't miss out on your moment.
There's no doubt this is their moment, and you can hear the emotion in Hugh Freeze's voice. And Grogan has it on the tee. For those of you that missed the coin toss, Oklahoma State won and deferred their option to the second half, so they'll start the third quarter with the football. That drops Jalen Walton back deep to receive the opening kick. And the All-State Sugar Bowl underway here in New Orleans. Returnable from the goal line for Walton. Spun down at about the 22-yard line. So here comes the second team All-SEC junior transfer, Chad Kelly.
Really gifted arm. He throws from multiple platforms all over the field, but it's his ability to run. The second leading rusher for the Rebels as to why he has put up such prolific numbers. The most prolific in the SEC. An average night for him, in fact. He will have the third best single season total offense in the history of the conference, behind only Johnny Manziel. They're here because of him.
A draw play on first down. Walton breaks a tackle. He's got a first down. A gain of 13 on the first snap of the game for the Rebels.
And just a swing and a miss there, unfortunately, for Seth Jacobs. Oklahoma State is going to have to tackle very well. You've seen it in bowl season. Really doesn't matter what conference. You have got to make the tackles defensively, and then Jalen does what he does best. Breaks that initial tackle. That time is Seth Jacobs.
Kelly's first pass, low, but scooped up by Evan Ingram. He breaks a tackle. He's got another first down for Ole Miss across the 50. As we take a look at the impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
You haven't seen him yet for the Rebels, but you will. That's Laquon Treadwell, the SEC's best when it comes to receiving, over 1,000 yards. Emmanuel Ogba, the leader, the co-defensive player in the Big 12, has to impact the pocket. And Kevin Peterson, number 1, will be matched up with number 1 Treadwell most of the night.
Play action for Kelly, looking downfield. He wants the deep ball to Treadwell into double coverage, and it's an interception. Ashton Lampkin on the return. We talked a moment ago about the role turnovers could play. Already the first takeaway, and we have yet to play 90 seconds.
That's the one thing that Chad Kelly's avoided the last 3 weeks. Very few negative plays, no turnovers. You love throwing into a one-on-one. I told you my eyes are going to be in those one-on-ones. You cannot early throw into double coverage. And that's exactly what, unfortunately for the Rebels, Chad did. That's Ashton Lampkin making the play at corner. You saw the deep safety as well. That's just a very big stage with a lot of bright lights and a mental error there for Chad Kelly.
It is Mason Rudolph getting the start for the Pokes at quarterback. A handoff up the middle. And running hard for about 5 yards is Chris Carson. So Mason Rudolph, who broke his right foot against Baylor back on the 21st of November, was only able to play a handful of plays in Bedlam and threw a pick-6, and then had surgery only a few days later. Has not had a lot of practice time, but has shown the coaching staff that he is at least medically able to play tonight. We'll see how well he plays. Well, he's 1 for 1, and that's a first down as he finds David Glidden over the middle for a gain of 6.
It really is pretty remarkable. A fracture, they put a screw in, but healed very quickly. Got 4 good days of practice under his belt.
Screen out to the edge. Austin Hayes. Check that, James Washington close to a first down. A gain of 9. And I remember talking to you after that injury and then having it disclosed that Mason Rudolph had surgery, and you speculated you didn't think he'd be able to get ready for this game tonight.
Not in 4 weeks typically when you have that surgery.
Very close to a first down is Carson. Brought down by Woodrow Hamilton right at the 50-yard line. And without measurement, the officials say, that's an Oklahoma State first down.
And when you're a tempo team, you've got to get those early first downs, get those sticks moving, advantage Cowboys.
Putting that injured foot to the test on the slide is Rudolph. And he went down hard. Let's quickly go down to Shannon.
And speaking with the Oklahoma State athletic trainer, he did tell me that Mason Rudolph has an orthotic in that right shoe. He's also been receiving treatment the entire time he's been here in New Orleans. But guys, watched him during warm-ups. He looked good. No pain, according to the athletic trainer.
Wide open, David Glidden on first down. Inside the 30. Being pushed for nearly a gain of 10. And Brock, opportunities like this for 2 high-scoring offenses when they start in plus territory, that could determine the game.
And critical for the underdog. That it was coming off a couple very difficult losses, a brutal loss in Bedlam, to feel good about yourself. Some first downs on the first possession, and with this field position, to your point, really got to get points.
So OSU in the red zone. An out pass thrown to Washington. We'll check that, Juwan Seals, and he is close to another first down inside the 10. Out of bounds at the 8.
Eerily similar how both of these offenses, the number of times each of them got down there, it was almost identical. But you see the difference in production, and J.W. Walsh, a big reason why.
So the red zone specialist comes in now at quarterback. Gives it to Carson, and he's brought down almost immediately by D.J. Jones. So a big play coming here for Oklahoma State, trying to keep the drive alive inside the 10-yard line. J.W. Walsh has accounted for at least 1 touchdown in every game that Oklahoma State has played this year.
And 18 over the last 7, and it's his mix. He is really adept in that zone read system, something Mason is not, and Mike Gundy and his staff have done a beautiful job of marrying the different talents of both their quarterbacks. J.W.
Walsh will try and pick it up himself, and he goes no So the Land Sharks get a red zone stop. Youngblood and Hilton combine on the hit. It's 4th down and at least 2, close to 3, and here comes the field goal group.
And you got to get 3 here. You got to take the lead in this building. Your defense has played a lot better than any of us anticipated they would. Getting the takeaway, getting a sack. You want to feel good about yourself, but again, a play there by Mike Hilton. You saw it with his speed and quickness on the pass. That time, short yardage, unblocked. He blows it up in the backfield.
26 yards for Ben Grogan. Play clock winding down. And it goes right down the middle. So Oklahoma State in the red zone, but they have to settle for 3. They've got the lead, though. Walton from the 2. Lowers his shoulders and gets to about the 25. Hand off here to Akeem Judd. Breaking tackles. Tiptoeing down the sideline and finally steps out near midfield at the Ole Miss 48-yard line. A gain of 22.
And he brings, as you can see, a little bit more size, not quite the quickness of Walton. And this is all run-pass options for Chad Kelly. Nothing but a numbers count. When those 2 safeties are deep, they're going to continue to run the ball.
Play action here on the slant. Cody Core muscles his way to the Oklahoma State 35. In front of Michael Hunter for a gain of 17 more.
Keep an eye on how many times Chad is able to throw it to his first option. A critical area of strength for this offense and how Hugh Freeze scripts it.
Right up the middle. Again, it's Akeem Judd. He's close to another first down. It looks like he has it. And they will give him progress to the 24 for a gain of 11. Brought down by Chad Whitener. About as fast as Ole Miss can go. Chad Kelly takes the snap again. This one's underneath to the tight end, Evan Ingram. I think Hugh Freeze called this pace Talladega, when they're going about as fast as they can go.
Get my players to react and not think. He has seen some mental errors from his guys up front, a questionable decision for his quarterback, and you go at this speed to simplify an already pretty simple defense, but more than anything, to just get your players to go and get in the rhythm of the game.
This time just a couple of yards as Akeem Judd was brought down by Emmanuel Ogba. Ogba, the co-Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, along with Andrew Billings of Baylor. So he has to be an impact player tonight. And he sets up 3rd down and about 4 in the red zone. We've already seen Ole Miss get a red zone stop on defense. Now can the Pokes answer and get a red zone stop of their own? Kelly on a keeper. He's going to be brought down, thrown back by Jordan Brailford. Exactly what Oklahoma State had to have, as now Ole Miss will have to settle for 3.
And that's been a little bit of a challenge. As prolific as this offense has been, and you can see Hugh Freeze right there, read his lips very clearly. What are you doing? What are you doing, Chad? I'm asking you, and I'm giving you the read down the field.
Gary Wunderlich missed a couple of field goals in the Egg Bowl. He was only 1 for 3 in the win, but tonight in the All-State Sugar Bowl, he is 1 for 1. 2:15 to go in the first quarter. And now it's a 3-3 tie. This will be a knee taken by James Washington. A reverse. James Washington weaving his way for only a yard or 2. That was a lot of real estate covered by the Pokes to eventually pick up 2 yards as Channing Ward made the stop out on the edge. Actually marked down at the 26 was James Washington, a gain of only a yard. But boy, can he be a weapon. In high school, as a senior on the basketball team, averaged a double-double. Won gold in the triple jump, the 200-meter sprint at his high school track team, and also, by the way, was a football star. Rudolph, high over the middle, tipped and almost intercepted. The pressure came, intended for Glidden. Mike Hilton was there in coverage, but lurking just behind as well was Trey Elston.
That's 3 really tremendous defensive plays for Mike Hilton. He's showing off all of his versatility. You saw it on a little underneath route where he closes quickly. You saw it on the short yardage run where he makes a tackle in the backfield. And that time he's got the one-on-one coverage on the seam, and he's all over it.
3rd down and 9. Rudolph under pressure, looking at the rush, and there's a reason. DJ Jones gets the Ole Miss sack.
Ole Miss is a difficult defense to prepare for because they move in and out of fronts. And you see a 3-man front, and that puts a center, probably, again, the weak link. We talked about the right guard for Ole Miss. Well, for Oklahoma State, that's walk-on Brad Lundblade, who is at his best when he can combo block. When he's left one-on-one, especially with a talent like DJ Jones, that's problematic.
Zach Seiner with a wobbly spiral. And this fair catch will be made at the 42-yard line by Collins Moore. And he'll run here for maybe a yard. Actually brought down right at the line. 2nd down and 10. Floating it down the sideline for the tight end. He makes a spectacular catch. Evan Ingram climbed the ladder. Brought down at the Oklahoma State 31. It's a gain of 27.
There you see the difference between throwing into one-on-one coverage versus the double coverage earlier. Hugh Freeze will live with that because that's what Chad does best.
Kelly with a pump fake. Looking end zone wide open. And walking in is Cody Core with a Rebel touchdown. Ole Miss.
Watch these two safeties here as you're going to see an in cut and that wheel route you talked about, Bob. Look at the two. Played a bunch of ball together, and they just miscommunicate. They don't pass that combination off. That's not overly complex. This is something that they have worked on throughout bowl practices. Ole Miss is not an offense that throws a lot of concepts at you. We talked earlier about how much they've streamlined and simplified for Chad. That, unfortunately, is Trey Flowers out there at safety, just losing sight and giving up that big explosive play that Oklahoma State can't afford to do.
Is their defense a defense that can be exposed?
Oh, and absolutely. At the end of the year with 12, not just 5, you are what your numbers are. And this is a group that struggled from a points perspective and in limiting the damage in the big plays. That's why those first 3 drives were so positive. And Mike Gundy's probably kicking his offense a little bit for only getting 3 points in their 3 offensive possessions. And you've got to see a shot down the field at some point on this drive.
Might be the final play of the quarter. And it might be a negative play for Oklahoma State. Fighting his way back to the line of scrimmage. And getting what he can was Chris Carson. But it will be 2nd down and 10 when we start the 2nd quarter. A little lower scoring than maybe we expected in the All-State Sugar Bowl. We've seen defensive impact plays. Big hits here in New Orleans. All-State Sugar Bowl. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Shannon Spake here at the Superdome. Last night, a little more crowded down there at about midnight. As we take a look at our game summary, -8 yards rushing for Oklahoma State against a front 7. No Fadal Brown with the injury, the season-ending surgery on the stress fracture in his foot. Of course, Robert Condici suspended for the Sugar Bowl after drug possession charges were levied against him 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. Draw play. To the 12-yard line goes Chris Carson. Drilled by DeMarcus Gates.
You talk about that margin for error, and when you're playing a defense that's as fast as Ole Miss is and as talented really across the board in so many spots, you just can't afford the critical errors. Just cannot afford the hands to the face mask right there. That's 50 yards of real estate, as you said, and more even than those yards. It's just what that does to the psyche of a defense when you hit the big play down the field.
Third down and a mile. Rudolph over the middle. Almost intercepted, but a drop that could have been a first down. Brandon Shepard has to make that play for Oklahoma State. That's a first down on 3rd and 23 if he comes up with that catch.
Well, we saw it earlier with Marcel Aitman. He had a chance. Very same route. Playing a lot of soft zone coverage. You run that deep in cut. If Aitman catches theirs on the first possession and goes upfield, they convert. And much like there, for the junior Shepard, or senior, excuse me, he makes that catch. You do. Once again, affect the psyche of your opponent. 2 huge misses for Oklahoma State.
So Siner from inside his 5. Collins Moore at midfield with a fair catch. What a turnaround. Great field position again for Chad Kelly and the Rebels when we come back. We go back to the 1970 Sugar Bowl. The last time that Ole Miss played in this game, a guy named Archie Manning was scampering for touchdowns. He put Ole Miss up 14-0 in the first quarter and then tossed a 30-yard touchdown pass to Vern Studdard in the second quarter. Archie finished with 273 yards through the air, a touchdown pass, a touchdown run, and Ole Miss with a win 27-22. You think he isn't still New Orleans royalty? Got to get a selfie with Archie down the sideline.
And I know he's really proud of Hugh Freeze being here and getting the Rebels back on this stage for the first time since he played. He played a real integral role, did Archie, in that process of getting him hired here.
Kelly low to the sideline, intended for Laquon Treadwell. He also has talked about how proud he is of Chad Kelly, who started at Clemson, had to go to East Mississippi Community College after he had, needless to say, a personality conflict with Dabo Swinney and was dismissed from that program. But you want to talk about a guy that's got some quarterback resources at his disposal. You're Jim Kelly's nephew, and you've got the Manning family in your corner.
Not bad.
Here's Kelly, right at the first down marker, coming back to make the catch is Treadwell. And it looks like as he was coming back of his own momentum, they will mark him down a couple of yards shy. So this is a very big play. And we'll shift momentum one way or the other, as if you are the Oklahoma State defense, you would sorely love a 3-and-out here. It's 3rd down and 2. A toss to Jalen Walton. No one home for the Pokes. And an easy 3rd down pickup for Walton. Trey Flowers tackled him out after a gain of 8. Action for Kelly. He's going to the end zone for Treadwell. He's got it. Touchdown Ole Miss with a flag down. It'll be pass interference against Kevin Peterson of Oklahoma State.
Defense number 1. The penalty is declined. Touchdown.
That's what you call good on good. This is the matchup. Kevin Peterson's faced all the Biletnikoff Award winners, and he knew what he was going to be up against. He knew that he'd be out on that island in one-on-one situations. Some contact both ways, and there you just see the one-handed phenomenal strength of Laquon Treadwell. Fighting through that contact. One-on-ones were going to be a theme, and right now Ole Miss is winning more than Oklahoma State is.
Got some folks taking selfies down on Bourbon Street and at the pep rally as well. And you can see all of the selfies that are TV acceptable are taken with daylight in the background. Once it starts to get dark down there on New Year's Eve, those selfies deteriorate a bit.
Yes, they do.
2-touchdown lead for Ole Miss. This is a very important possession coming for Oklahoma State. it's going to start at their own 25. Oklahoma State needs to pick up 4 yards just to get back to even if they're going to run the football. 1st and 16. Rudolph, long throw, on time. Marcel Aitman to the 40-yard line of Ole Miss.
Soft zone coverage. You've seen it on previous 2 third downs, and big receivers and the talent of Mason Rudolph's arm. It's why he broke the school record, over 9 yards of completion. Very comfortable throwing in that intermediate range.
Play action again. Rudolph this time avoids the rush, and he will throw it away. John Youngblood got pressure on Mason Rudolph. Now again, this is a defensive front that lost Isaac Gross in their opener. Vidal Brown played in the Egg Bowl but missed the LSU game the week before and eventually had season-ending surgery on a stress fracture in his foot. And of course, Kimdichie suspended and still Offenbrock. They are getting pressure on Mason Rudolph without having to blitz. Only a 3-man rush here. They'll run it and pick up about 3. The ball pops out. Chris Carson lost the football. And the officials, I believe, ruled out a fumble that's recovered by Oklahoma State. Mason Rudolph jumped on top of it, but they go back 5 yards.
And they may have to take another look at this one and see if that forearm of Carson is down. He was really challenged in his work in bowl preparation to get those yards after contact. Does that right arm, elbow, forearm go down? I think this is probably worth another look. And my hunch is Mr. Womack's looked at a bunch of these third downs and the big zone windows that he's given up, defensive coordinator for Ole Miss. And I don't think you're going to see that kind of soft zone. Maybe time to heat up Rudolph, who's in some pretty good rhythm throwing the ball.
3rd down and 15. Ole Miss shows blitz. They'll rush only 3. This time Rudolph well protected. Low throw, scooped up. Incomplete. James Washington, it looked like for the moment he had it. And Darius Webster was there in coverage. And as a result, it'll be a punt for Oklahoma State.
But you see the difference. Instead of playing that wide open zone, they play what you call 2-man coverage. Rush just 3, and everybody's got man coverage underneath with the 2 deep safeties behind. We got a quarterback that doesn't run very well. That's the ideal coverage to get to. Good tight coverage, forcing a punt.
4th punt and 5 possessions for Oklahoma State. And this kick only makes it to the 15-yard line from Siner. It's a 30-yard punt. Midway through the 2nd quarter of the All-State Sugar Bowl. It's a 2-touchdown lead at the All-State Sugar Bowl for Ole Miss over Oklahoma State. Bob Wischusen alongside Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake. Jordan Wilkins on the run.
Well, that was a fast track back in the day, that hard AstroTurf in the Superdome, and an Ole Miss team would be built, especially this one with all their athletes. And look at the difference there in productivity as they finally got their feet underneath them in much better rhythm.
Kelly up the seam, on time to Cody Core. Ole Miss is making it look awfully easy offensively now. They are in a rhythm with a 2-touchdown lead.
And we talked about that level of trust and would it affect the play calling, and kudos to both Hugh Freeze and Chad Kelly for playing to your strength and what you do best, and that's pushing the ball down the field.
That's a backwards pass to Treadwell. He's going to throw it, and running under it is Jordan Wilkins to the 10. Hugh Freeze goes to the trick play, and it's 1st and goal at the 10 for Ole Miss.
Flashback, that's exactly what TCU did to Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl a year ago, is they just got blitzed. A throwback early in that game and a perfect throw from the former quarterback.
A sweep left, and this time at the 10. No gain.
I was watching Treadwell and Kelly in practice the other day throw it, and Treadwell was humming it. And I asked Chad, 2nd best arm on the team, and he actually pointed to that guy, number 1, not just a phenomenal receiver, former high school quarterback showing it off. That's a long throw out across the field. I'm telling you, TCU ran nearly the exact same play against them last year when they just dominated these Rebels. And it is just a turn of events. 180 the other way as Ole Miss has really got Oklahoma State reeling.
2nd down and goal at the 10. Slant, Treadwell, end zone, Ole Miss touchdown.
Rebel fans, you've got 2.5 quarters to enjoy this guy. The junior is going pro. He can say what he wants to say to the papers, but he's done his work, and I don't think Hugh Freeze will have any issues with it. And he's showing off exactly why McShay has him #1 on his board. The go route and the strength to fight off the defender, and that time using the big frame on the slant route. Oklahoma State right now, like that fan, has no answers.
Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart upstairs. Down on the sideline, there's Tim Tebow standing by with Joe Tessitore. Coming up at the half, the Buick halftime report. They will recap the New Year's Six with the Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl and the Rose Bowl game. And what is now a continuing trend, unless Oklahoma State can mount a comeback. Amazing how lopsided some of these major matchups have been, as the All-State Sugar Bowl is now a 3-touchdown lead for Ole Miss. James Washington, this one, even from 2 yards deep, will result in a knee taken and a touchback out to the 25. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, Bob, as you can imagine, a lot of the conversation here for the Oklahoma State defense with the coaches is surrounding this secondary. You can see them over here on the bench. They're just really digging in conversation, and there's almost a sense of shell shock. No frustration, not yet, but a little bit of shell shock. Jordan Stearns, the sophomore safety, who did come over, he spoke to the guys, and he said, come on, guys, we got one shot at this. We got to get our attitudes up.
Well, they have hurt themselves as much as Ole Miss has hurt them with penalties, some drop passes, execution mistakes, a blown coverage. Brock on one of the touchdowns. Rudolph under pressure again, avoids the sack, buying time, extending the play to the sideline. Incomplete, intended for Glidden. And again, without the blitz, the pressure gets through for Ole Miss.
And that's just unfortunate. That's right in the middle of your line. That's left guard Michael Wilson. That again, I think it's so easy for the fan to see, you know, the matchups on the outside, but you don't see those defenders on the inside like Alabama last night that just thoroughly whipped a Michigan State team at the point of attack. And Ole Miss really doing it in the run game, and that time once again just a one-on-one inside that they win in pass rush.
So number 9, Breland Speaks, get through clean. He is only a redshirt freshman. So athletic, it's almost scary, said Dave Wallner. Thrown out to the edge, losing the football. Is it ruled an incomplete pass? It is. Glidden had his knees taken out, and he was ruled to not have completed the process of the catch. Got to survive the contact to the ground of the ball. Aim out, and it is ruled an incomplete pass.
Well, Tony Bridges has taken some heat this season for some of his pass coverage, but he's a boundary corner. You saw it on a run play earlier, and that's textbook. He's going right for that midsection. He's trying to separate Glidden from the ball and does just that.
3rd down and 10. This time it's a 5-man rush. Rudolph over the middle. Dropped. Jawan Seals had it in his hands and couldn't hold on. Another drop that hurts Oklahoma State.
That's good tight coverage. That's finally some protection, and you can see the air around Rudolph, and he puts it in a spot where only his guy can get it. And those are the challenges when Mike Gundy goes into halftime. He's gonna look at his team and say, especially offensively, guys, this is pitch and catch, and you're much better than this.
Flag down on the punt return by Collins Moore. And Mike Gundy will decline the penalty.
And you're starting to really sense and feel that overall athleticism and speed advantage the Rebels have.
Gain of a yard on 1st down for Walton.
When you play a really talented athlete across from you, it doesn't matter what the sport is. Basketball is probably even a better example than football. And you know when that guy's got a little step on you, oof, there's some pressure to have to keep performing. Right? And sometimes you try just a little bit too hard instead of focus on the basic fundamentals, especially for these Oklahoma State receivers tonight.
Kelly, pitch and catch up the seam, running free to midfield is Evan Ingram.
And then on the flip side, when you know that you're a step faster, you just play free and confident and loose. You throw double passes, you run go routes, you throw a little tight slant into a tight window, and it doesn't matter.
Personal foul, face mask, number 6 of the defense. 15 yards added into the run, 1st down.
It becomes, all in all, a 43-yard gain. 28 on the catch and run by Evan Ingram. And another 15 right there the face mask on Ashton Lampkin.
And these are obvious calls. I mean, these aren't even judgment calls. There's nothing in between here. Black and white right now. A level of dominance once again from an SEC team.
Emmanuel Ogbah knocks that ball down at the line. So it will be 2nd down and 10. But let's take a look not just at the passing numbers. How about the total yards put up by Chad Kelly? He has moved past Cam Newton, past Dak Prescott, past Tim Tebow tonight. And by the way, Newton and Tebow, the 2 years that they put those numbers up, they won the Heisman both of those years, obviously, as did Johnny Manziel when he had a 5,000-yard season. So he is in elite company when you start racking up these numbers. Total yards in SEC history.
An elite supporting cast around him as well.
Pump fake. The ball comes out as he was hit. Emmanuel Ogbah almost created a turnover as Kelly had an interceptable ball thrown there, and now it's 3rd down and 10.
You got a top 10 pick at left tackle who's been matched up with Ogbah. You've got a top 15, top 25 receiver in Treadwell. 4 seniors up front protecting you. A senior tailback. A wonderful supporting cast. And Chad Kelly bringing them all to life here in the first half.
Kelly looking, end zone, incomplete. Intended for Pack, who was open. So it will be a field goal attempt on this drive for Gary Wunderlich.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody throw as many passes as Chad Kelly has. I bet you since he got to New Orleans, I'm not exaggerating.
You're including practice as well when we went yesterday.
Yes, yesterday.
And 2 days ago as well.
Rubber arm. And youth, awfully nice to have.
38-yard field goal attempt makes it 27-3 Ole Miss. Another touchback from the back of the end zone for Washington.
And they just have to do the simple fundamental things for them. Keep your hands inside the frame when you're blocking. Watch the ball all the way through the reception point. All the things that Mike Gundy's drilled in 15 bowl practices. Unfortunately, offensively, fundamentally failing them more often than not.
Here comes the blitz. High throw to the sideline. Marcel Aitman tried to toe tap but couldn't get a foot down.
And that deep out has got to be thrown with some precision. Just a little late there, sensing the pressure for Rudolph. Forced the throw to be high and out of bounds.
Draw play against a 3-man rush. And it's Carson again. About 2 yards shy of the first down, so picks up 7.5. Brings up a big 3rd down. Third down after the timeout. Rudolph over the middle. He's got Glidden. Breaks a tackle. Down to the 31-yard line. Only the 2nd 3rd down conversion of the night for the Pokes, but it's a gain of 25. Rudolph with a check down. Making a man misses. Carson to the 15-yard line. Dragged down at the 14-yard line. So now Oklahoma State in the red zone.
It's amazing what you can accomplish when you just play pitch and catch. When you look that ball in and then you break a tackle or two. And this is the time, and the folks here in the locals can sense it and feel it a little bit. You've been stomping all over this Oklahoma State team, but you don't want to give them life going into intermission.
Rudolph scrambling. Throws it towards the goal line, and it's almost picked. Tony Bridges had a chance inside the 5. That brings you back to Connor Cook last night as he threw a crushing interception when that was still a game at the end of the first half against Alabama.
Yeah, the disadvantage of college football is you don't have that headset like those pro guys do, because I promise you an offensive pro coordinator is going to tell Mason just that. Do not panic and force it right now. While 3 points don't look like much, you just would cripple your team with the turnover.
And Darius Webster read that play perfectly and hit McCleskey, and now it's 3rd down and 10.
I'm a little surprised how quiet James Washington is tonight. 1,000-yard receiver for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, a real difference maker for them, and been really quiet here in the first half.
He's at the bottom of the screen, widest man in the trips right. 9th play of the drive. Rudolph, incomplete, missed a wide open Marcel Aitman. And now it's 4th down and 10. And a frustrated Mike Gundy is forced to send the field goal group out just to try and get 3.
I'm frustrated because those were 3 real questionable decisions, especially the first 2. The last one really nowhere to go in zone coverage. But that first down throwaway near interception, the second down miss at the feet sets up this field goal.
Well, even if you're able to complete that pass to Marcel Aitman and he picks up 6 or 7, it might have given you a chance to go for it on 4th down. But on 4th and 10, he's going to opt to take the 3, and he gets just that from Ben Grogan from 31 yards out. Returnable kick inside the 5 for Jalen Walton. Now to about the 26. He's missed on his last 4. Has all day to throw. How about the pass protection by that front? Now he escapes and runs for a first down. And he's hit out of bounds, and that draws the flag. Jordan Brailford tracked him down, and that will cost Oklahoma State 15 more. Another mistake that you can't afford if you're the Cowboys.
After the runner was out of bounds, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 94 defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's a redshirt freshman playing, unfortunately, because of the loss of Jimmy Bean about midway through the year. And look at the difference of protection. We talked about it on the other side. It breaks down eventually, but that's over 3 seconds of holding the ball. And then there's the X factor of Chad Kelly, the ability to move the sticks with his athletic ability, his running ability, and just a boneheaded mistake there from Brailford. Can't have it.
Kelly wide open, settling in to make the catch is Quincy Attaboy-Joe. That's his first reception. It's a gain of 23, and Ole Miss is in field goal range.
And there's a little of those RPMs. I talked in the open about one of the top 5 arms in college football. That's a seam route.
After the Oklahoma State timeout, a first down just outside the red zone again. That time pulled the string a little bit and short hopped it to Attaboy-Joe.
70 yards as a 14-year-old. You line up right now the 80 guys in the NFL drawing a paycheck as a quarterback. I don't know if half of them throw it 70 yards. He did it in a competition when he was 14.
Low snap. Kelly goes down. There's a break for Oklahoma State. And now a timeout called by Hugh Freeze from the Ole Miss sideline. That's the final Ole Miss timeout. But if you're Oklahoma State, do you not have to take some chances defensively at some point and send blitzers after Chad Kelly?
Yes, you do. Yeah, I think you absolutely do. I don't know if 3rd and 16 is necessarily that, but you may have a chance with that blitz to get the ball out of his hand earlier. The problem has been the catch and run and just that overall strength that so many of them possess, but they're doing at least pre-snap exactly what you're talking about.
This time no down lineman trying to disguise the look on 3rd down and long. 5-man rush. Kelly under pressure. One of the first times tonight. Escapes. There he goes. No one home in the middle of the field. And Kelly's down to the 6. Kelly wants to spike the ball once the ball is set ready for play. They're out of timeouts. Down to 9 seconds to go. Instead, he'll lob it. And there's the flag. Michael Hunter on Cody Core. That'll be pass interference in the end zone.
Not a terrible play defensively.
Defense number 17. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. First down.
You get beat here, the opponent doesn't have a timeout. A lot of contact there, not looking back in any way. There's no face guard in college football, but just gives the receiver no opportunity to come back and get it.
Now an interesting call here for Ole Miss. They're out of timeouts, 5 seconds to go. It looks like they're going to go for a touchdown on 1st down and goal.
You better throw it into the end zone, and you better not waste any time if you're Kelly running around.
Kelly on a roll with a little throwback. Who makes the catch? Laramie Tunsil. Touchdown. The flag is not for an ineligible player catching the football. Laramie Tunsil was tackle eligible. It's excessive celebration on Ole Miss after the touchdown.
There is no, this is fun to rep. I thought maybe just for the big guys, right? Give them a chance to practice something that they would never call. And lo and behold, look what he calls with 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Either it's going to be a touchdown or you're going to leave points on the board, right? And you'll see the motion, and he's going to be uncovered, but because this is a backwards pass to the big fella, Laramie gets to show off some of his athleticism. You'll see the motion come, but because this is a backwards pass, a lateral, the big fella can show you at 6'6" and 310 pounds. Dream come true.
A touchdown for Laramie Tunsil as we go down to Shannon.
Well, thanks, Bob. Well, Coach, that's one way to get some energy going into the locker room. But, you know, when this game started, it seemed like you and Chad Kelly were not on the same page. What did it take to start clicking?
Yeah, there's been a few times we're still not on the same page. Like we should have killed it there and we'd have got 2 plays instead of him making me roll the dice there like that. But he's a baller now. He's made plays. And, you know, I think a month off, and they're doing some different stuff. Boy, they're stimming to a lot of bear, and you know, it took us a little bit to get to that handle, but you know, proud of all our kids right now. We just got to finish, you know.
Missing your voice a little bit, but you're also missing some key defensive guys coming into this game. What critical matchups are you guys winning that you're impressed with most?
Well, we're stopping the run, so we're able to commit a lot of guys to the pass. They're still getting some yards on us. We're a little winded. You know, we've got to get in here and get rested because we are thin. We got to keep rotating when they sub.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Shannon.
What a first half for Ole Miss. When your left tackle is scoring touchdowns, things are going well. Hugh Freeze with a nearly perfect first half, 34-6. They've got the lead. Joe Tessitore and Tim Tebow, the Buick halftime report after the break. Welcome back to New Orleans. You're watching the 2016 All-State Sugar Bowl. Just about set for the start of the third quarter. First 30 minutes, all Rebs. Ole Miss running away and hiding 34-6. They've got the lead over Oklahoma State. Bob Shoes and Brock Ewert, Shannon Spake here at the Dome. All right, we obviously heard all of the lip service this week from everyone at Ole Miss. We are taking that lopsided loss last year in the Peach Bowl to heart. It will not happen again. It's no longer lip service. You can tell this is an intense football team, and they played like it so far tonight.
Yeah, played with tremendous edge. And I'll tell you what, Oklahoma State is going to have to play with some reckless abandon here.
LSU back in 2002 scored 34.5. That was the halftime high total in Sugar Bowl history until it was just tied by Ole Miss with 34 in the first half against the Cowboys. Oklahoma State starts the third quarter with the ball. Can they make anything happen? At least Ole Miss kicking off from their own 20-yard line because of that penalty before the end of the first half. It's returnable for Washington, but he gets bottled up before he even gets past his own 20. At the 19, he is taken down, so bad field position for Oklahoma State to start off the second half as we go down to Shannon.
Hey there, Bob. So Mike Gundy told me coming out of the locker room, they have us on our heels. That's how they were able to hit that trick play. He's told us so many times over the last couple of days that they have to establish a run, and that was the #1 thing he told me. We can't be two-dimensional, can't be one-dimensional, and we have to stop giving up the big plays. How do they do that? Well, he said we have to get more pressure on Chad Kelly. Some of the guys coming out of the locker room said, guys, this is what we were made for, coming back.
Let's see if they can. They'll start off the second half with a near pick six. Tony Bridges took one back in the Egg Bowl, and if he holds on to that one and maintains his balance, he would have scored again.
Ole Miss, the antithesis of playing on their heels. And you saw that quick out 2 or 3 times in front of Tony Bridges. He was giving up those 6 or 7 yards, but that is some of that still reckless abandon, right? Bordering on reckless abandon and cutting it loose versus that edge that you got to have. And man, Ole Miss has been anything but on their heels.
They had -1 rushing yards in the first half, and Chris Carson picks up maybe a half yard here. So now it's 3rd down and a long 9, close to 10, still shy of their own 20-yard line.
Teaching tape by DJ Jones right there. Absolutely teaching tape. You got a block coming down on you. You use your hands first. The defensive tackle, you throw off the blocker, you make the tackle. That's why there's been no run game. Winning your one-on-one blocks at the point of attack.
The Pokes were 2 for 9 on 3rd down in the first half. They set up the screen here, and it's blocked up. Can Carson get to the first down marker? An extra effort. He's so close. Looks like he's about a half yard shy. So will it be a 3 and out for Oklahoma State to start off the second half? It's 4th down and 1. And here comes the punting group. Signer to kick it away to Collins Moore. Line drive. Fair catch at the 35. Well, I was talking to a couple of NFL personnel people that swung by practice the other day as Chad Kelly has all day. He's going to unload for Attaboy Joe. Incomplete. But one of the scouts that was here watching Ole Miss practice, talking about Laramie Tunsil, said that he thought Laramie Tunsil tomorrow could start at left tackle for 28 out of 32 teams. Basically, if you didn't send your left tackle to the Pro Bowl, his job would be in jeopardy if your team drafted Laramie Tunsil.
And with the shots with the helmet off, obviously he is giving some other guys opportunities right now in a totally one-sided affair.
Little read option. And Kelly will give it to Jordan Wilkins. He'll pick up about 5, so it sets up 2nd down and a long 4, close to 5, or 3rd down, pardon me.
I'll add one other thing. I saw a draft evaluator at our Texas Bowl on Wednesday, Advocare Bowl. And I said, I give you one guy in all of college football to be on your NFL team next year. Without hesitation, Laramie Tunsil. And when you are 6'6" and 310, and you look like you're 250 in the way you move, you look like you're 225, you become a bona fide top of the draft left tackle.
Play clock under 10 for Ole Miss. 3rd down. 4-man rush for Oklahoma State. That flushes Kelly out of the pocket, throws it off his back foot to Treadwell, and he is thrown down well short of the first down. So it's a 3 and out created by the Cowboy defense. Vincent Taylor was all over Kelly.
And there's a little look of what Chad Kelly is going to feel a tad bit more next season when Laramie moves on, Von Cooper moves on. Now Cooper's playing left tackle right now, and they flip him over, something he did the first 7 weeks when Laramie was out. But 4 seniors are going to be gone up front. Going to be a different offense next season for Chad Kelly. He's going to have to carry even more of the load. I'm not just talking statistically. It's going to be a little challenging and more challenging working with a lot of new parts in 2016.
Wunderlich with a beautiful punt. McCleskey makes the first man miss. Lost the football. It looks like Ole Miss has it. The true freshman coughed it up. And it belongs to the Rebels. A true freshman coughed it up, and a redshirt freshman recovered it. Breland Speaks, the fumble recovery for Ole Miss.
And I believe it was Terry Caldwell, the middle linebacker, that snuck his hand in here. You see the redshirt freshman. Yeah, and it is 21 Caldwell. That's exactly who it is. Another one of those junior college transfers that's made a seamless transition with some of his speed. And how about the big fella? Talk about the big fella left tackle. Speaks is a 6'3", 313-pound D tackle. And he's the one tracking the fumble down.
Wilkins to the 35-yard line.
We talked about touchdowns and takeaways. Those were the must coming out of halftime, and I'm sure that was some of the messaging going on with Mike Gundy and his staff to his Cowboys. Got to score touchdowns and you got to get takeaways. The only way you're going to overcome this mountain of a deficit. And instead the takeaway goes on the other side. And Mike's crew unable yet to find the end zone.
Wilkins again. This time he's into the secondary and he's into the end zone.
A lot of credit to Tunzel. Here's another big fella. Here's another senior that is paving the way. That's Aaron Morris, the left guard. He gets the critical block at the point. Wilkins too much speed, and that take away to 7 points.
Last season's Peach Bowl loss, 42-3, was the worst ever in a bowl game in Ole Miss history. I think they're making up for it.
It's some rough start to this season. I just love the story of the kid that's got the stick-to-itiveness to not quit and play his very best game on the biggest stage that he'd ever been on, and that was last night. I mean, Alabama made Michigan State's offensive line look like Ole Miss is doing to Oklahoma State.
Quarterback draw for J.W. Walsh. And he lost a half yard, so now Walsh takes over and gets a chance to play in place of Mason Rudolph. And I didn't think that Michigan State was going to beat Alabama, but I didn't think there was a team that could shove Michigan State around the way that Alabama did. And I also didn't think that there would be nearly the physical disparity between Clemson and Oklahoma as there was.
That one probably surprised me even more. You knew that Michigan State was challenged from a speed perspective in a bunch of spots, but to see, and especially as well as Oklahoma was playing as fast as they were playing, yeah, it wasn't close.
Well-designed play. Down the sideline goes Chris Carson as it's dropped in by Walsh, and that is a gain of 28.
And it becomes such a simple equation, especially in that Alabama game, and it will be the same thing in the national championship game. If they're front four and they rotate 8 guys through, so they don't have a depth issue against Clemson's tempo. If their front four continually whip the 5 guys or 6 guys trying to block them, you can't win. Football can be a really complex game with all sorts of calls and schemes and blitzes. But when your 5 get dominated by less, it's really, really difficult.
A flea flicker, and wide open is Marcel Aitman, or check that Brandon Shepard down the sideline. Normally flea flickers don't work if you have no run game to speak of. And Oklahoma State has not had any run game to speak of tonight, but Shepard got loose and picked up 33.
And a couple nice throws here from JW, and I know that's a story and a kid that you want to talk to. Probably as impressed with anything from Mike Yursich, the offensive coordinator yesterday with Oklahoma State, was his commentary about this senior that didn't quit. When a lot of kids in college football in his situation would have said thanks, but no thanks to the program.
Carson tries to bounce it outside, hurdles a man, and then gets caught for about a 4-yard loss. Well, J.W. Walsh is a 5th-year senior. He's 23 years old, and he could have done what we've seen many seniors do. We talked about Jake Rudock earlier, good example. A player that could have gone to a lesser school than Oklahoma State, could have transferred to a lesser conference just to be able to play. And he stuck with this program knowing he wasn't going to be the starter. But they carved out a role for him, and according to Mike Yursich, it was not based on charity. It was based on what he thought what they thought he could bring to the team. And now he's going to take a shot at the end zone. It's incomplete and go down to Shannon.
And J.W. Walsh, he's absolutely one of, if not the main leader of this Oklahoma State team, guys. He's the one that gives the pre-game speech in the locker room. He's the second guy in at quarterback, but he's the number 1. He told me that coming into this game, he really wanted to leave everything on the field, knowing that this was his last game. And despite the deficit right now, you could see him on the sideline continuing to try to get his guys engaged.
And this should be his final 17 minutes. For everything that you said and everything he stuck around, I bet you he plays the remainder of this game.
Throws it over the middle to Jeremy Seaton. And Seaton's inside the 5, down to to the 1. First and goal for Oklahoma State. Can they finally find the end zone?
We've seen a little creativity. You see the flea flicker. Here you see a delayed tight end screen. And here you see some of the tempo they wish they could have gotten to earlier.
Play action again for Walsh. He's going to try and run it in. And he does. Appropriate. The first touchdown for Oklahoma State in the All-State Sugar Bowl is the player that has accounted for at least 1 touchdown in every game that the Cowboys have played this year.
Well, and I'll tell you what I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear from a lot of folks, oh, they would have done this earlier. Oh, my gosh, see, they should have played JW. Where's all this stuff? No. It's not Mason Rudolph's fault that he had 4 drops, that there were critical penalties, that were negative plays, right? And you know, that was pretty miraculous to get 1 yard and still couldn't do it with their traditional run game. It took JW's effort. I love one other thing that Coach Gundy said is he said, you'll go away, JW, coach somewhere else. And then eventually when you come back and coach, and if we get to do this long enough, Bob, he will be a coach that we'll see on a staff somewhere. What equity he has to tell kids about buying in, about what a team concept is, and all. He didn't have to say anything. He just looks at his resume and what he did in Stillwater.
He went through about 5 different quarterback competitions and was never given the chance to be the unquestioned starter for a season as Walton takes it from the 1. He's out to the 30, trying to flash back to all of the All-State Sugar Bowl memories for FAU.
Hey.
Obviously,
She's a South Florida girl.
Right.
Hey, we didn't even have a football team when I went to Florida Atlantic University, so you can just stop.
Unable to stop has been this front for Oklahoma State. Akeem Judd this time hit at the line, but still is able to spin forward for about 5 yards as we are under a minute to go in the 3rd quarter.
It's probably time, if you're Glenn Spencer, to just be a little more aggressive. And I know it's a catch-22 because the minute you do it and you get a guy that breaks the tackle, he's gone. And you've given up house calls and big explosive plays already. But it's going to take stealing 2 or 3 possessions and a bunch of takeaways to even make this thing interesting in the final frame.
Kelly reverses field and slides down short of the first down rather than taking on Ashton Lampkin. And that should take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. And that will take us to the end of the 3rd as Chad Kelly's already walking over to the Ole Miss sideline. So we will head to the 4th quarter with the Rebels 15 minutes away from putting the Peach Bowl loss last year to TCU way in the rearview mirror. They have been dominant on both sides of the ball tonight. The Land Sharks have had fins up 41-13 as we head to the 4th. A little bootleg for Kelly. Cruises for the first down. He's got a lightning bolt attached to his right shoulder, and he can run. 10 touchdown runs this season, the most by an Ole Miss quarterback since Archie Manning ran for 14 back in that '69 season, which of course was the last year that Ole Miss played in the Sugar Bowl.
And such an ear to a defensive coordinator and defensive group that you get to 3rd down. That's now 2 third-down conversions that he uses with just his overall athleticism and feel.
Incomplete that time as he threw it low to Cody Core. And his uncle, you know what you love about Jim Kelly? He had a chance, we were told, to take his family into a suite. No thanks. I want a ticket and I want to sit up there with the Ole Miss fans. And that is exactly what the Buffalo Bills legend has done. See, he's sitting up as the eye in the sky. Look at this seat. He's in the 600 section. He wants the all-22 look like any good quarterback would.
That's right.
He's got it from up there.
Well, he's watched his nephew play really well. And I know he's awfully proud of the road that he's traveled, some of the hurdles he's had to overcome personally, off the field, on the field this season. He is the unquestioned leader of this team and difference maker, really, more than anything else. He makes them go.
Student body right for Jalen Walton. Let's go down to Shannon.
Well, Bob, I had a chance to talk to Chad Kelly this week. I asked him about, having an uncle that played in the NFL. He was out of the NFL by the time, Chad, he was about a year old, 94, 95. But he said one poster he had on his wall, one guy And it was that guy on the right side of your screen, Jim Kelly. He said every time he plays, he knows the next day he's going to get a text message, he's going to get a call, he's going to get just his uncle giving him a call saying, hey, you should have done that, you should have done this. So he says a little more pressure when he knows he's watching him.
Not a lot of should-haves in this one. Outside of the early interception, there was a lot of well done, kid.
3rd down and 10 here. As Kelly steps up in the pocket. Keeps the play alive with his feet. Still moving. Chad Kelly in the open field. To the 15. Well done, kid.
I don't remember Jim doing a whole lot of that in the K-gun. He had a rocket arm, and he could throw it all over the place. But I think even Jim would tell you that his nephew's got a little bit more athleticism than he does. Now, the same level of toughness, that same level of courage to do whatever it takes for the team in any moment. But a 43-yard scamper there, and as we referenced before, as far as single-season total offense, only Johnny Manziel. That's it in the history of this conference with all the players that have come through. That's because the second leading rusher now, nearly 500 yards rushing, combined with 4,000 passing. Pretty good stuff.
Slant, incomplete, intended for Treadwell, tipped by Ogba. You want to sum it up statistically? How about this? Tonight, nearly 290 through the air, over 70 on the ground, 3 touchdown passes. The Sugar Bowl record, by the way, for most touchdown passes is 4. So he could tie it with his next throw. Chris Wenke, Kurt Kittner, Trevor Knight all share that record. And he'll lob one into the corner for the 3rd time tonight. He's got Laquon Treadwell for a touchdown. That is number 4.
And that may be my favorite. And I hope this kid goes back to school. I know there's conversations of whether he's going to leave and be one and done and everything else. I think he's got some growth in that team room and in that quarterback room and growing this scheme. But I promise you, if he was sitting in with Gruden, that'd be the play he'd look at. Bearing down, Ogba, defense right in his face, and he just flicks it out to his guy, give him a chance. I said earlier in the game, he's brought his team to life, and that's what you want your quarterback to do. That's what Coker or Watson's going to get done on championship Monday. One of those guys is going to elevate everybody else, just like Jim did with Buffalo. His nephew's done tonight.
Jim Kelly used to throw balls that looked like that to Andre Reed. Laquon Treadwell for the 3rd time tonight. Uncle Jim loves it. Laquon Treadwell, not sure why he feels like he needs to stay loose. He's only got 3 touchdown receptions in tonight's game. Ole Miss over Oklahoma State. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Shannon Spake back in New Orleans. This kickoff about 4 or 5 yards deep. Again, it is Washington taking a knee. J.W. Walsh at quarterback. Steps up in the pocket. Now he'll take off. And run for a 1st down. Out to the 38. That's a gain of 13.
It's like those Tommy John. Those pitchers that blow out that elbow and they get the ligament and everything else, and they come back, and how in the world do they have more velocity? Well, it's all the training they do, right, and all the other muscles and ligaments and tendons and all that rehabs. You see Mason Rudolph looking on, and as I said, this got to be J.W. Walsh's quarter. Just give this guy, for everything he's meant to this program, a chance, and I'm probably done seeing Laquon Treadwell.
Quarterback draw. J.W. Walsh, he's got another gear. Down the sideline, out of bounds near the 30. That's a gain of 30. And that 30-yard gain now puts Oklahoma State to the good in terms of rushing yards. They now have 32 rushing yards on the night as a team. Hit as he throws. Almost laying out, making the interception was Trey Elston. Tony Bridges came on a blitz. J.W. Walsh had to throw that one off his back foot.
We haven't called Trey's name an awful lot tonight, but he also is one of those difference makers. No surprise, Ole Miss is on this stage. You're going to get a 10th win. They've gone from 7 to 8 to 9 and now number 10. And it's guys just like Trey. He's one of those seniors that's, in fact, started now 44 games in his Ole Miss career. I know that Hugh Freeze awfully proud of those seniors that have had not just JW, but those seniors here that have seen a coaching change, stuck by it, did everything that Hugh had asked those guys to do. Channing Ward, another one of them with 51 games under his belt.
Well, Channing Ward, here's a good shot of the relationship continuing to build between head coach and quarterback. But C.J. Johnson talked about the decision that he made when he first came. He's now in his 5th year. He had a redshirt year a couple of years ago because of injury. He could have transferred.
Yep.
He was part of a 2-win team when he was a freshman when Houston Nutt was let go. Houston Nutt actually talked C.J. Johnson into staying at Ole Miss. I think that's a decision for those 5th-year guys that has paid off. Walsh. And now, depending on the spot, it may be 4th down. No, it looks like they gave him the 1st down to the 21-yard line. So that's an 11-yard scramble.
And it's not about sticking to the program, because Dabo and obviously Nick Saban are entrenched and have been at Alabama and at Clemson respectively. But ask Mike Gundy what those two men have done with their teams, why they're on the ultimate stage. And it's because of this same buy-in. It is your seniors. You heard Nick Saban last night over and over again talk about his senior class. It was embarrassed the previous 2 years and how they ended their season. And it was them. It's not just the head coach. It's your locker room that takes that team over. And that's why you find in this success. That's why Ole Miss got to 10 wins. Not about Hugh Freeze and Dave Womack, sure, Dan Werner. They've done a nice job. But it's their senior leadership that took this thing over.
2-yard gain for Walsh. So if you are an Oklahoma State fan and you're looking for a very small silver lining out of tonight's game, this was Ole Miss 1 year ago. They were in this exact same position. They made it to a New Year's 6 game and got embarrassed on the stage by themselves. You called that game with Joe Tessitore. It was a 42-3 drubbing in the Peach Bowl. Walsh, low throw over the middle. And it looks like it was scooped up by McCleskey. They'll give him the catch at the 8-yard line. So it's 1st and goal for Oklahoma State. Walsh tries to run it himself, and he will. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the night.
And I think pretty well documented. We've told the story. Good for him. Good for him. He absolutely deserves it. He's going to be a coach one day, and he just continues to add in this red zone where he was really good this season.
In the 2012-2013 season, J.W. Walsh was in that quarterback carousel with Wes Lunt, Clint Chelf, and actually led Oklahoma State that year in total offense as well in 2012. And then 2014, started the opener against Florida State, suffered a season-ending injury in week 2, so finally able to put a stamp on his career.
Well, there's a look at Glenn Spencer, defensive coordinator. We had a long talk yesterday about defense and perception and stats and the Big 12, who's going to continue to get hammered, and will get hammered this whole offseason.
Eugene Brasley fighting off several tacklers to get to the 20-yard line, but you're right, he definitely takes umbrage with the idea that defenses in the Big 12 get criticized the way that they do.
And you can understand during the season, and I told Glenn, it reminded me of old conversations with Nick Aliotti, the old coordinator for Oregon, where when you play an up-tempo system, you are going to sacrifice your yards. All you got to do is look at Gary Patterson, who went from the #1 defense, #2 defense, statistically, to him changing his offensive system, which basically everybody in the Big 12 runs, and your numbers are going to get hurt in conference. But when you go out of conference, as you have this bowl season, and you continue to get beat up at nearly the same rate or even worse, well, that perception is just not going to change.
Brasley gets out to about the 24-yard line.
We've seen some good soaks today, by the way. David Shaw got it good.
Looks like they're checking out which one is going to be Hugh Freeze's bath over on the Ole Miss sideline.
I think Urban dodged his. He showed some unique athleticism.
Well,
McShay liked.
He's got a lot of experience with Gatorade
True.
attempts at the end of games. When you win that much, you start to get good. Got 2 yards shy of a first down with 2 minutes to go.
I don't think he was going to mind. I think he may keep asking for him based on the excitement that he had to play in this game. And to get to this moment, which was so critical in his development, to now to get to a 10th win and continue to build his program. And as I said earlier, a recruiting class at anywhere from #1 to #5 by everybody's estimate. And all those recruits that watch tonight see an Ole Miss program that's going in the right direction.
Now you've got the equipment manager coming over, getting the electronics off of his head, preparing him for that. Oklahoma State stacks up Braisley about 1.5 yards shy of the first down as we go down to Shannon.
Well, Bob, when Hugh Freeze was first hired at Ole Miss, he sat down and he pulled out a notebook and he wrote down all of his goals for this program. He called it the journey. Number 7 on that list was to lead this program to a Sugar Bowl. He said he grew up watching it. He had 5 TVs in his house. Some of them were black and white, but he always watched a Sugar Bowl. And, of course, heard all those stories of Archie Manning leading this program to a Sugar Bowl and winning. And now he is less than a minute away from living his dream.
Pretty cool. And he's told Shannon before the game it was the pinnacle of the SEC that he grew up watching. And I think that was, once again, kind of emblematic of the night. They even had it scripted and planned, those seniors did, of exactly how they're going to go about that work and make sure they hugged and soaked appropriately. And well done.
Carlos Davis with a nice tackle on special teams of McCleskey. Down to the last 33 seconds of what will become another lopsided win in these New Year's 6 bowl games.
Some brutal matchups that plays a role. Some teams where you see that are just a different cut from the rest athletically. I think that stood out tonight. And then just, you knew, we were around Ole Miss for the last few days. They practiced in this building the last 5. They were on point. They felt like TCU did last year, where they knew what Oklahoma State was going to do, and they were going to do it better, and they were going to do it faster. And they wanted to finish off a year that they had never beaten. For the first time in the history of the program, LSU, Auburn, Alabama in the same year, they did it this year. And this further stamps, in your words, puts a further stamp on what 2015 was as one of the best that Ole Miss has had.
Classy move as well by Oklahoma State. And J.W. Walsh taking a knee. And it will be the Rebels that will lift the hardware here at the All-State Sugar Bowl, 48-20. Ole Miss with a dominant performance over Oklahoma State. They are the All-State Sugar Bowl champions. Back-to-back 9-win seasons for the first time since the 1961-62 teams that were competing for and winning national championships in Oxford. 6-2 in the SEC, their best conference record since 2003. That's their 5th win over a ranked team this season, racking up historical numbers. And their head coach is down there with Shannon Spade.
Head coach, quarterback down here celebrating this victory. We'll start with you, Coach. You told me you grew up listening to stories about Archie Manning leading Ole Miss to a Sugar Bowl victory. When that story is told from now on, your name will be included in it on the sidelines. How do you put into words what that means to you?
It's very difficult, really. I mean, it's we just won the Sugar Bowl, you know, and I just thank God he's been so good to us through the difficult times and the good times. We just stayed the course, and you know, our faith in him is strong. That doesn't mean we're perfect, but we love each other through the difficult times. And man, to be stand here and that, you know, won the Sugar Bowl with the University of Mississippi and these guys, it's a memory of a lifetime.
Chad, you told me that Coach Freeze is like a father to you. He put his trust in you with everything that you've been through. What does it mean to be standing next to him with your arm over his shoulder right now, right here?
It's huge. I mean, like I said, he's another father to me, and He believed in me. I love him. He loves me. And what more can I ask for in a great coach like him? He puts us all in great positions to succeed, and I'm just so thankful to have him as my coach.
We've talked so many times about your first recruiting class, what they have meant to you and what they've meant to this program. When you guys go back into that locker room tonight and all the fanfare is over, what do you expect the emotions are going to be like?
Well, my emotion is going to be probably the most difficult, not so much for that recruiting class. It's like the C.J. Johnsons and Woody Hamiltons and Aaron Morrisons and Justin Bells, who suffered some very discouraging losses before we got here. And, man, they hung with us and got to, go from that to winning the Magnolia Bowl, the Egg Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl all in one season. Those seniors get to go out with that. That's kind of folklore stuff.
No, I love it. One of your plays was called Talladega. That means you go fast. What do you call the trick play with Laramie Tunsil? What's the name of that one?
Laramie go score. That's what it's called. And he did it. We executed it.
It's called Pop the Collar.
Congratulations. Enjoy this one.
Thanks, Shannon.
What a night for Ole Miss. What a night for Hugh Freeze and his quarterback, Chad Kelly. Only 11 years ago, Hugh Freeze was playing for high school championships in Memphis at Briarcrest Christian. Now it's a Gatorade bath as the Ole Miss head coach, champions of the All-State Sugar Bowl. The 4GT postgame coming up next, and the trophy presentation. Plenty more to do in New Orleans. Don't go away.
Coach Freeze, you and your team deserve this trophy for more than just winning the Sugar Bowl. You showed us how to win. You took advantage of opportunity. You never stopped pushing. You had grit, and you believed. You weren't afraid. So you showed us by believing you win. Thank you for a great college football experience. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Hugh.
Hugh, prior to your arrival, Ole Miss was 2-10, was winless in the SEC. Considering the road you've taken, how satisfying is this moment?
It's absolutely unbelievable. So thankful and blessed to coach at a university with great administration, wonderful fans, and great young men that stayed the course with us through the 4 years. And to be here 4 years from that winless stuff in the SEC is a truly blessing. We're thankful to God and his goodness to us, and the most of all for these guys sticking with us.
Hugh, just watching some of your play calling tonight, especially how you finished off the first half with Laramie Tunsil getting a touchdown, it just seemed like you guys were having fun out there.
We had a blast. I told our kids all for the preparation that they really prepared well. I was so super confident all day. My worry has been just all week getting to this point. But once I got to today, my whole message to them was, man, make the most of your moment with the time you have. You've prepared well, and we're going to play well. And they were super confident. We had a blast playing together.
I'll tell you, there was one guy that made the most of his opportunity. As for the most outstanding player, Jay Batt, you have the honors, All-State Sugar Bowl Executive Committee. The most outstanding player of the All-State Sugar Bowl is Ole Miss quarterback Chad Kelly. Chad, congratulations. Chad, the story's been well told of your college career being a roller coaster ride. To get to this point, what does it mean to you?
It means everything, but it means the world to me to have players like this and coaches like this. And, I mean, these are my best friends. These are my brothers, and I love them to death. And I'm so glad they're my teammates.
4 touchdown passes. How about the guy to your left? What a night out of number 1. You want more of that with him?
One more year!
Chad Kelly, your most outstanding player. Ole Miss, Hoddy Toddy, folks, Sugar Bowl champions. Bob?
Picture says it all. And what a way to go out for Laquon Treadwell if he does indeed go out on a high note. Freeze, Kelly, Treadwell, Tunsil, they are all-state Sugar Bowl champions. For Brock Ewart, Shannon Spake, and our entire crew, so long from New Orleans. Coming up next, it's SportsCenter.